Hey, welcome to Discover More. My name is Ethan Lumen, one of the pastors here at Peace Church in Eau Claire, all by myself today, but I want to talk to you about trust. We're going through a series, Words for the Journey, words that help us as we walk this journey of faith. And trust is one of those essential words. It's actually, as I think about trust, I think trust is what it means to be human. Does it mean, like, if you're a human, does it mean that you can think? Does it mean that you can love? Does it mean that you can use your body? Like all these things that we think about in relationship to what it means to be human. To me, the word that captures what it means to be human more than any other word is to trust. You know, I have 4 children. Thank God for each of them. One of their birthdays is coming up here shortly, and I think about the day they were born. I think about the time they spent in the womb. I believe that we're human from the womb. And if we're human from the womb, before we can think, before we can talk, before we can interact, what does it mean to be human? And like, I think about those little babies growing inside their mother's belly, and they trust, inherently they trust. And how can you be confident or sure that they trust? Well, they're at peace. You know, when a baby's born, it's a little chaotic, right? But they get held by their mom, and it's like they're at peace. And Psalm 131 talks about that. It says, like a child in the arms of its mother is my soul within me. And I think what David's getting at is trust is the essential human characteristic. Babies trust their moms, and children trust their parents, and spouses have to trust each other, and community members. Like, can a community survive without some level of essential trust? You can't buy anything at the store if you don't trust that they did some safety features on it or whatever. They ran it through the testing and all that kind of stuff. That's what Pastor Mark got at in his sermon this past week. Hope you go back, take some time and listen to what he said. But I think what it means to be human is to trust. So what does that mean for us then? That means that we are beings that trust, and we have to make sure then that our trust is in the right places, in the right people. And that's why, as Christians, we believe it's essential that we trust God above all other things. There's a lot of things that want us, like we can trust the stock market. What do they say? It's just consistent growth over the years. You can trust that the stock market will keep performing and your money will keep growing and all this other stuff. You can trust the science. You can trust the government. All these things you can trust. But we experience in our lives those moments where it's like, can we? Can we really? Can I trust this person in my life? Can I trust my job? Can I trust, fill in the blank? What we believe as Christians is that no matter what, we can trust God. We can trust God to see us through. That's the message of the Scriptures. Not only can we trust God to see us through today, but forever. That Jesus he's come to earth, he's died, and he's risen again to make sure that we know we can trust God to take care of us for our entire lives and beyond. That's the simple message of Christianity. And there's an invitation then in that. Because when you trust something, there's a relationship. That's why I like trust over faith. Faith and trust in the Greek language, it's all the same word. Faith, trust, belief. They're all the same word. In English, when you say faith, you think of some abstract concept of dealing with maybe a God of some sort. When you say belief, you think of like the formal doctrines. These are my beliefs. But when you say trust, you can't help but think of relationship. That's the value of trust. Trust is inherently a relational word. There has to be someone trusting in some other thing. So trust is inherently relational, and you're invited into that relationship then with the God who created you. So as we go through this Words for the Journey series, it's really an invitation to connect with God. It's an invitation to join in prayer. We just built a prayer path around peace. If you live close, we hope you'll come to 501 East Fillmore here in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and walk around. It's like the best time of year here in Wisconsin. So if you're here during the summer, especially, take some time and go sit at a bench. Look at these words on these rocks. Just sit there and take some time to pray. But you don't need to be in Eau Claire. You don't need to be here on campus. The invitation from God is to pray anytime, anywhere, to be in relationship with Him. And just as we can live our human relationships with people, we don't need to always be talking. We can just be in the presence of someone. And I guess as a kid, you hear that line where God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you listen twice as much as you talk, or something along those lines. It's true, right? We need to be listening. We need to open ourselves up. And I hope you take the time to maybe work on that trust. And I think that's another thing, is that if you're struggling to trust God with something, it's not a reason to turn away from God. It's a reason to engage with God even more. God, I'm struggling to trust you with my finances. God, I'm struggling to trust you as you tell me to live this way in relationships. God, I'm struggling to trust that you actually care about me because I'm going through this disease or this complication in my life. Take it to God. Really be open and honest with Him. He's given you an invitation to bring all your cares and all your worries to Him. And if you read the Psalms especially, what you're going to find is there's a lot of times when the psalmist gets pretty real with God. It's like, how long, oh God? Are you going to forget me forever? Where did you go? Rouse yourself. Wake up, God, please. And so you hear these words like, wow, and they're kind of strongly worded. Well, God wants us to be talking to Him. God wants us to walk with Him and see our journey is not solo, but there's a God who walks with us every day. Well, I hope this is helpful for you. I hope you take some time to work on that trust with God. And join us. We got some more words coming up, and we're just going to take some time. I'll be joined here again soon with our fellow pastors, David and Mark. We hope you take some time to discover more about prayer and what God has intended for you in your journey with Him.